Welcome to Real Take Real Estate with the Joseph team, where today we are going to help you navigate the exciting journey of purchasing your first home. I'm your host, Maddie Maloney, alongside my two co-hosts, Joe Sambear and Sam Feta.
Hi. How's it going?
It's going great. All right, so today we are going to be discussing what it looks like being a first-time home buyer, what that process is, some misconceptions, and just some of our own personal story, like my personal story of being a first-time home buyer, some of the stories that we've seen, and how we're really here to help those first-time home buyers. Because I would say it is one of the toughest times to be a first-time home buyer right now in this market and trying to navigate it with just crazy prices
the limited inventory.
You want to start again?
No, just keep going.
Keep going. Yeah, the limited inventory is really hurting right now too. We're seeing that a lot in this market. You know, with such few homes on the market, when a nice one comes up, you got to be ready to compete, and that's the hard part for first-time home buyers right now.
You have to have patience. A lot of patience. We're seeing some that it might not be a month, it might be several months, it might be a year.
A year.
Or more.
Oh yeah, a lot of people.
If you stick with it, just stick with it.
Exactly. Don't give up.
So say you come across a first-time home buyer. What is the first piece of advice that you're going to give to them with the best way to navigate this market? What should they first start off doing?
The first step is a trusted advisor. On the real estate side, having a licensed local realtor is step one, and a mortgage advisor that you trust.
Yeah, I think both of those really could be considered step one, getting with the real estate agent and with the right lender to build a secure plan for the future.
Team.
And team, exactly. Because kind of we all work together in a sense to make sure the whole transaction's covered, because there's so much that goes into it. You have to have the trusted real estate advisor. You have to have the trusted lender to build that plan for you, so you know exactly what the end result is going to be.
Exactly, because when you start this process as a first-time home buyer, it can be so overwhelming. And I know there's so many questions that they have. So you really want to have people that have your best interest in mind and aren't just going to shove you into a home, shove you into a loan product just because, maybe it's easiest for them or they think it's best, but they don't have your best interest in mind. So just knowing that it's okay to interview your realtor, interview your mortgage banker, making sure that you feel comfortable with them. That is definitely the best piece of advice that I would have, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with these people, especially your realtor, as you go through and knowing how to navigate this market with, what to offer on. Is this, even a good purchase here? Getting their advice. It's just so beneficial to know that you have people in your corner that have your best interest in mind.
Exactly. And I think a lot of it too is asking the right questions, because what I like to coach my clients in is, we can give them different options, show them what's available out there. But I tell them, at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to make the payment. You're the one that's going to live in the home. Are you comfortable with it? You're not wasting my time. You're not wasting your real estate agent's time. It's all about you. So that's the big thing, is wanting to make sure you're working with the correct people that have your best interests at heart.
That you feel comfortable with asking the tough questions, being very open and transparent of, I really don't like this. I don't feel comfortable with this. Why are we doing this? You have to have a partner who you feel comfortable asking questions.
Exactly.
Because, I'll tell you, one of the challenges for any buyer, especially a first-time home buyer, is there's so many moving pieces.
Exactly.
You have the title side of things. You have the real estate side of things, which is the contract. You have the mortgage side of things, which is the note. You have a home inspector involved. You have all these parties, and that's why you really need that trusted mortgage lender, trusted realtor partner to make sure you have coverage to protect your interest, to make sure all those things are being addressed on a timely manner and being taken care of. And once you understand that this is the process, these are the people I trust, I'm getting all my questions answered, it can be a much more comfortable, smooth, it really should be a smooth process.
And a lot of times too, we see buyers that are going out there and, on the internet, of course, Zillow, Realtor.com, all that stuff, and see a home, want to jump on it. That's not the way to act. You want to have all your ducks in a row first, meet with your lender, interview your real estate agent, get that plan built ahead of time so you know exactly what you're entering into. Because if you go see a home, want to make an offer on it, make a quick rush decision, that's the last place you want to be in, and not have your numbers in line, not know what you had to have at closing out of pocket for down payment and all that stuff. It's best to learn it up front, get started as early as possible if you're thinking on entering into the market.
And a good realtor is also going to push you towards getting with a lender first as well.
Exactly.
So that they know exactly what you're pre-qualified for. They know that you're going to be comfortable with this monthly payment in this home. And, if you're a realtor working with a first-time home buyer, you want to make sure that they are definitely qualified for that you're not wasting your time if they've gone through a lender that maybe didn't really check off everything for them. So if you're a realtor, make sure that you have trusted lenders that you work with, that when they issue you something, they're good to go. They're helping your buyer as well as they go through this process.
Not only is it bad to jump into a purchase like that without really having the knowledge and knowing what you're getting into, it's not even a good position. Your offer is not going to be in a good position.
Exactly.
So what we want is we want you to understand everything as you're looking at that property and about to go under contract, and we want to position your letter we're going to send on your behalf and the offer the realtor's writing, so it actually we have success of actually acquiring this property.
Exactly, and that's what we do ahead of time is, versus just the quick turnaround on a pre-approval. We can turn those around quickly as well, but we like to do all of our due diligence up front to make sure you have a strong offer, make sure you have that plan built, so you're going to be in a good position if that offer does get accepted. We'll know you're getting to the closing table.
Exactly.
The one thing I coach some of my customers and realtor partners about is we want to spend, some people think we should get involved after the contract's been signed and executed. We want to do all our work and all our planning pre-contract, not post-contract.
Exactly.
So it's opposite what some people might think is, I need, now I bought this house, I should call a bank and call a lender.
Kind of backwards in a sense.
Yeah, we should be spending all the time up front.
Exactly.
And then when we get to contract, it's more just procedural of dotting the I's, crossing the T's, going to closing.
Exactly. Yeah. I would say one thing that first-time home buyers often ask when they're first going through with the lender is, what am I approved up to? What is my highest purchase price? What price homes can I look at? And it's really not what purchase price am I approved for, but also knowing what monthly payment you're comfortable with. Because what they don't realize oftentimes is, taxes in this county versus this other county is going to dramatically affect your monthly payment. So getting with the good lenders so that they can issue you, a scenario so you know fully exactly what you're getting into with your principal and interest payment, your homeowners insurance, taxes, if there's any other association dues, anything on there, we really want to make sure that you are fully comfortable before making that offer and that you know everything that you're getting into so that you don't have that buyer's regret afterwards after getting into the home.
Well, that leads us into our first misconception, which is what's my max pre-approval, pre-qualification, which we really don't work quite like that.
Exactly.
So that's the number one misconception or up there on the list.
Yeah, you don't qualify for a specific purchase price, you qualify for a specific mortgage payment.
Exactly.
Based on your overall gross monthly income.
Exactly. So that's why anytime we have someone that is looking for a new home, we always ask them to let us know even before they've made that monthly or that offer so that we can send them a scenario so they know, you know what, actually now I'm looking in this county, so my taxes are going to be a lot higher in here. And they didn't know that before until we sent them a scenario. So we really work hard up on the front end to make sure that everyone is comfortable with their offer and they know exactly what they're getting into there. So that is our first misconception. So we're getting into our next segment of this podcast. So Sam, I'm going to go with you. What is the next largest misconception that you would say you see first-time home buyers having as they start the home buying process? Yeah,
I mean, there's definitely a lot of them out there. I would say one of the big ones is, that down payment one, obviously. And then another one being, the interest rate. So the interest rate is built up of so many different factors. Everyone doesn't qualify for, the lowest interest rate. It's built up of your credit score, your down payment, what type of loan program you're qualified for. So not everyone, just because you have a top tier credit, you're not going to get the same rate as, someone with lower credit. So it's,
so when they call in, Sam, or when a customer calls in, or a new first-time home buyer and says, what is your current rate?
Yeah.
There's more to that.
There's more to it. Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of, a multitude of factors that make up that interest rate.
Loan program, and it's not static.
Exactly.
It can change throughout the day.
Yeah, absolutely. It can change, every 15 minutes. They're reposting constantly, depending on the mortgage-backed securities market and a bunch of other items too. So.
And what about down payment? So you said down payment, 20%. So Maddie, what's the real answer on, as a first-time home buyer, I'm sitting here, what are you going to tell me about down payment?
Yeah, so I would say that was definitely one of my biggest misconceptions coming into buying a home as well. Is you constantly hear people say, oh, you got to have 20% down. I've even seen realtors post before that you should have 20% down to buy your first home and that is needed. That is definitely not needed, and I would say majority of our first-time home buyers are not putting 20% down. We have 3% first-time home buyer products. We have, there's FHA with 3.5% down. There is 100% financing programs where there's 0% down needed, with that being RD, so rural development. We also have some of our own in-bank portfolio products that have 100% financing. There's just so many options out there available that don't require 20% down. And that's why you really need to get with the lender so that we can go through all of these different areas, because not only are there lower percent down options with 3%, 0%, whatever, there's also great down payment assistance options. There's grants that we can look into. So when you come to us looking for a mortgage and you say, oh, yep, I'm first-time home buyer, I have 20% saved down, that's great. We're still going to look into these other options, because maybe that 20% down is all you have saved up, when maybe it would be a little bit better to put 5% or 10% so that you can save that remainder for everything that you're going to need during that first year that you bought the home.
Yeah.
Because there's so many costs associated with being a first-time home buyer. I think the average cost that a first-time homebuyer spends in the first year of buying that home is around $10,000 for everything that they need, whether it's appliances, furniture, everything like that. So even if you have 20% saved up, we're still going to look at the best options there. And
for our wonderful veterans, we have VA, which is not just that's not just a first-time homebuyer program. And each, a lot of cities and states have housing authorities. So there's those kind of grants that we can look at too.
Yeah, and talking about this a little further, another topic came to mind with, the misconception and that whole 20% down, kind of what that revolves around. So people get afraid of, I have to pay PMI if I don't have 20% down. But really, on our process, we have 6 different mortgage insurance companies that we run your quote through. And, with these first-time homebuyer products, majority of them have a reduced PMI rate. So that PMI is quite a bit more affordable than a lot of people think. I think, PMI has that stigma around it, like, I'm wasting money paying PMI, but it's really allowing you to make an investment by paying that PMI, and it's more affordable, like I said, than a lot of people might think. So,
and it can vary
exactly
depending on your risk level, your credit score, your debt to income ratios.
Yes.
And
so
people are sometimes very surprised of how much it is or how little it is.
Exactly.
Based on their scenario.
Yeah, I mean, if you have 5 or 10% down, 2 borrowers on a loan with very good credit, it's very affordable paying that PMI.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Any other misconceptions that you would say that you see first-time home buyers kind of having in this market?
I think one of the misconceptions is that it's it's an overwhelming process. You have to do, what do I have to do to get started? I have to do all this research and education and maybe classes, and it really isn't that hard to get started. And just with a basic online application, picking your team that we talked about, boom, we're started.
Exactly.
So it doesn't have to, it's just taking that first step, and then we can bring in the education and, you know, home buyer class if that's something that it's a good idea for a first-time home buyer and sometimes required. So that's but just getting started, I think, is it can be kind of a misconception that I have to accomplish all these things before I even get started.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I see that as being a new trend as well for the generation that's coming into the first-time home buyer, starting to look at homes, is that generation thinks that they have to know everything before going through with the process. So they're doing all their research. And I have lots of people coming to us being like, okay, well, I looked up all of this and I think I'm going to go on this product. And that's great. We love that you're doing your research, but also that's what we're here for. We do this on a daily basis. We are here to be your trusted advisors because we know the products in and out. We know the guidelines, and we know that we're going to go through and look at every single option to be able to fit you into that best program. So coming into it, you don't have to do all that research because you should have a lender that does that for you, that has your best interest in mind, that is going to look at all the different options. So, and
we can have just a conversation. We don't have
to,
you know, if you're thinking about, well, I think my lease runs through the end of the year, I need to wait. No, we can talk right now and have a long conversation and kind of lay out the steps, put your team together. It's okay. It's never too early to start. We always say this. It's never too early to start. Even if you're telling me you're relocating in 2 years, it's not too early to start.
Exactly.
We might take a different path, but we can have the conversation.
That initial conversation is huge up front. Just getting to know them, gaining the trust, you know, letting them know we have their best interests at heart, and
understanding their goals and objectives.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that goes along with, you know, a misconception that people think, oh, so I start looking at houses, and then once I get an accepted offer, that's when I go and get with a lender and start the mortgage process. No, you should really be starting with us way before that. People get a little concerned, you know, with having your credit pulled. They don't want it pulled until right when they get an accepted offer, but it's really best to start that process early so you know exactly what you're getting into and what you can afford. And
another
what
misconception.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Credit inquiries.
The credit inquiry.
Yes.
Of how impactful a credit inquiry or how devastating to your credit report a credit inquiry will have. The credit bureaus assume you will shop for a mortgage, that you'll have a credit inquiry, that you'll have a handful of credit inquiries every year. And it does make up, you know, from different bureaus and different formulas, about 5% of your credit history is inquiries. And it's not one inquiry, it's like how many. What they're really looking for is when it really has an impact on your credit is when you're searching for 20 different types of credit at the same time. That's a high risk, and that's why the credit score will be impacted. But when you're just shopping for a mortgage, and we do want to see that credit in advance, because if you're shopping 6 months from now, we pull your credit and you have a small medical collection that you weren't even aware of. We'd like to deal with that. We can handle some of those things earlier, and it can have a big impact on your transaction. So let's take a look at that now.
So credit is a great topic to get into with first-time home buyers, because I think that is a big question and also a misconception as well, is that you have to have perfect credit when going to buy a first home. So if you had someone come to you and say, okay, so I'm kind of working on my credit right now. I know I want to buy a home in the next year. What should I be shooting for my credit? How do I build credit right now? What is your best advice to give to them?
Yeah, I would say really, you know, obviously getting started up front, and what we can do with that situation, if they think their credit's not the best, we have those loan products that we can look into and see what they'll qualify for now. And if they don't like that product, if it doesn't make sense for them to do them at that time, then we can coach them into, you know, in the next 6 months, if you take these steps, you could be in a better position to get a better loan product and to put yourself in a better financial position in the future. So even if you think your credit's not the greatest, there are programs out there, and that's what we're here for, again, is to put you in that right position to make the most informed decision.
And how many times have we seen where someone does say that and really their credit's excellent?
Yeah, exactly.
Or they're working on the wrong things. You know, that's why we want to see it, even if it's a work in progress, that's fine. it's a work in progress. It's not going to be held against you in the future.
Yeah, and that's
Exactly.
I think too.
That's a misconception.
Yeah, if people have that, they think their credit's not that great, and we don't want to have our credit pulled because it's going to kill my score again. It's really only 3 to 5 points, doing a credit pull to see where you're at, and then our advice can obviously help you into the future getting that credit score up.
And we're not credit experts. We're not going to clean up your credit, but we've seen thousands of these and have a good feel for what you should do and what other partners might have to be involved, depending on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, definitely. So if you are starting to consider buying a home, definitely start, working on that credit a little bit. But if you don't even know where to start, get with a mortgage lender. There's great sites as well that you can check your credit. We always recommend, there's Credit Karma. You can check your bank's app, but
they will market to you.
Oh, yeah.
It's still a good service.
Yes, it is. It is a good service. All right. So those were some great misconceptions that we went over there, with the not needing 20% down, that it's a hard process, that you need perfect credit. So, of course, if there's any other misconceptions that anyone has that they want us to go over, please don't hesitate to reach out. There's so many more out there, I feel like, with first-time home buyers coming in, and lots of misinformation in the media that we're seeing today. I guess one of the other misconceptions right now is that it's not affordable to buy a house, but that is just still not true right now. People say with the rate environment right now, with the way houses, the prices that are, that keep going up, it's not affordable. That is definitely a misconception.
Especially compared to the rents we've seen in the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now we're going to transition a little bit into some of our first-time homebuyer experiences and the best way that we've been able to help people. So Sam, I'm going to start with you. What is one of your best experiences with a first-time homebuyer, and maybe how you helped them, what they ran into? You have a good one?
Yeah, sure. So, I think a lot of it, there's multiple different first-time home buyers out there. It doesn't necessarily have to be a younger person or a younger couple. One comes to mind. She was this was a year or two ago, a middle-aged woman. She wasn't living in the greatest apartment. She'd rented all her life. She was a really hard worker. She was working 2 jobs steadily, and the, management company that was running the apartment complex she was in, it was just not a safe area. They didn't do a good job. And she had saved up, a little bit of money, not too much, $3,000 to $4,000, I think it was, and found a perfect home. We were able to get her into the MISHDA 0% down with down payment assistance program. And so at the end of the day, she basically got into a home in a safe area with about $1,500 out of pocket total, and was able to basically start a whole new life, be in a comfortable area and have a place that was her own. She was excited about, starting a new garden in the backyard and moving out of a bad situation. We were able to coach her into getting there and, basically restarting her life, really, you know. So it's not always a younger couple looking to get in. If you've been renting for a long time and, want a way out and want to change the way things are going, we can definitely help with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so did she come in knowing that she would be able to be qualified for that MISHDA program, or did you kind of bring that up? You started looking at the different options there? Yeah,
I mean, she had already looked into it a little bit and knew the program existed, but, we had 2 to 3 meetings before she ended up getting an accepted offer on a home, and we went through that whole process and got her comfortable with it and, answered all her questions. And it was something that just, really, really worked out great for her.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just a great example of, what really makes it worth it in this business with the longer hours, just helping people not just get a home, but maybe start a new area of their life and just have such a big impact, because it really is great helping people, especially first-time homebuyers, because this is most likely going to be the biggest investment that you make in your life. This is the biggest purchase, and just having people that you can rely on, and having people also that are just as excited for you to get into that home and are there celebrating with you when we get that clear to close and get to the closing table. It just definitely makes all the longer hours worth it, and just one of the best things in this job.
Absolutely. And she actually ended up bringing me a few months after stuff from her garden and dropped it off at our office. Yeah, that was how appreciative she was. So that was definitely a great experience.
Yeah.
And, like I said, it's always a pleasure just helping people, and that was a unique scenario that stood out in my mind.
Exactly. And I think that's one great thing about our team. And yes, I'm going to plug our team for a second here, but it's not just about the transaction for us. We love to see these first-time home buyers, real estate investors, anyone that we are working with, no matter what their credit score is, what their history is, if they're perfect qualified person or if we're struggling tooth and nail to get them qualified, we love seeing it all the way through the process and getting them to the closing table.
Absolutely.
And we want to keep them as a customer for life. We want them to keep bringing their veggies to us from their garden
Exactly.
and their family and friends.
Yeah.
Exactly. And helping out all their family and friends as well.
Yeah.
It's just, it makes it so rewarding just to know that you've made such a big impact on their life and not just okay, one and done, that was a good transaction, moving on to the next.
Yeah. And the focus, we always say the focus, we want your transaction to be successful for you, the seller, the realtor partner. We're just in the back. We're just making sure that works out, and that's our goal. It's not to put our products first. There's been times where people called me and said, "Hey, I'm working with another lender. Does it look okay?" And they're shocked when I said, "Yeah, it looks good. You're good.
Exactly.
We don't need to help, but I do want you to call me next time, and I do want to help your family and friends." And that's how you get trusted. Is you're going to put the customer first. And that's what we really want to accomplish.
Yeah, definitely. So Joe, I'm going to transition over to you. What is one of your favorite first-time home buyer memories, or just a memory that you have that was really impactful?
Well, Sam hit on it. I had a kind of similar experience. I had a single mom who had a couple of little children. She was super high energy, super excited to find something. She was really having a hard time finding the right inventory, the right house that was updated, that met all the goals and objectives of affordability, down payment. She got with one of the best realtor partners we have, who was hyper focused. And this is why you need this, because I couldn't have done this, and she couldn't have done it. We needed that realtor partner who was hyper focused on her goals and objectives. And she got very aggressive in looking. Found a home that was recently renovated by our local housing coalition. We found a community grant, the city grant, that we were able to utilize on top of that. We actually met all those goals and objectives. And if you would have told me that in advance, I was even doubtful a little bit myself.
Yeah, I remember that transaction.
But it worked out. And, we have our client appreciation events, and we usually do like a little movie event or whatever. And it's so satisfying to see them come back and see their faces and the kids and the family coming back as our little community.
Exactly.
And, also I would say, we have people from all over, and I know you have a story of someone coming into our area. That's one thing I love about Mid-Michigan is, we have one of the world university that brings in people from everywhere, and we just think that diversity makes Mid-Michigan a special place, and it brings people from all sorts of backgrounds, from the top physicists in the world to the worker, the mechanics at the automobile makers. It's a great place to be. We're really excited, and when they come to relocate, when we're relocating a family, that's that special thing.
Absolutely,
definitely. So I would say one of my favorite memories it was actually one of the first transactions that I ever worked on. I was working with this couple who was actually from Europe. They had lived in Michigan for just a couple of years now, but they were finally looking to purchase their first home. And so our system and building credit and everything like that was still a little bit new for them, and they just had lots of questions. And so they had actually started with a different bank, but her realtor, who I worked with closely, advised that she get with us as well. So I was able to pull up the scenario from the other bank and pull up our scenario as well and go through each line item. Because if you've ever bought a home and you get that first worksheet of all your monthly payment, prepaids, escrows. They're throwing out all these words.
APR.
APR, just PMI. Even what is that? There's so much.
A lot of codes.
So many
Lots of
acronyms.
codes,
Yeah.
so much verbiage that you just have no idea, and it's so overwhelming. And she had all these questions, and it was just so rewarding to sit through with her. And I had both scenarios pulled up side by side. We were on a Zoom call, and I was able to go through line by line and just explain everything to her, because this other lender hadn't. And she was just very confused about the whole process. We found that they were charging her a bunch of points for her rate, and she had kind of crazy closing costs with this other lender. So I was able to go through and kind of explain to her, like, okay, so here's all your closing costs. Here's what your down payment is for this home. Here's the PMI that you're going to be paying. Here's what your rate is. Here's the APR. Here's what that means on that. And here's what your taxes are in here. Just going by line item and really explaining everything, explaining what the escrow, what that means, why we have to collect all these prepaids up front, and just seeing the relief on her face afterwards, after it clicks and she gets it and she understands, and now she's more comfortable and more excited to get into this home. So that was just an initial process. And then just being there for her and answering her questions. You know, I love to tell my first time home buyers, and I reiterate all the time, there's no dumb question.
No.
At all. There's so much, like we said, so much verbiage, so many things that are just so new, and you don't even know what kind of questions
And we love
to ask.
we love to talk.
Yeah.
Oh yes, we love to talk about it. We talk about this all day long. Obviously, we
That's why
love
we're
to
here
talk
right now.
about it. Yeah, that's why we started a podcast about it.
Exactly.
But just being able to take that burden off of her, reassure her, help her feel comfortable making that purchase, and then helping her every step along the way with all the questions that she had. And, you know, I think that is my favorite part, is just being that relief for people. I like to tell them, you know, you worry about the home. You make sure that it's exactly what you want. You get your packing started. You get your movers ready. We will handle the transaction.
And the time frame.
Yeah.
We'll handle
Yes.
making sure you're on time.
Exactly. We'll handle everything else. Don't worry about it. We got the worrying, and we'll let you know if something comes up. But we always do our best to take care of everything beforehand, before it ever turns into an issue. That's why we review files up front like we do, so that nothing happens throughout the transaction. And, you know, that was such a rewarding experience for me then, because, you know, it's special because it was one of my first transactions working with her. But just once they got to the closing table, hearing how excited they were, knowing that they were comfortable with it, they weren't going to have that first-time home buyer remorse after buying a home. And
that one in particular,
special.
I remember, Maddie, you gave them a lot of, like, you showed them the scenarios, you laid
Yep.
it out, you gave your suggestion, but we let them decide. The consumer
Exactly.
decides. You let her decide. She got
Exactly.
through that process. The education was there, the decision making was there, and then she got comfortable, made the final decision, and then we just supported her to the end.
Exactly.
That was the best
We're not
part of
here
that.
to push you into a product or tell you, okay, this is exactly what we're doing. We're here to lay out all of the options, explain to you everything that's available, and everything within that product, what it's going to look like, and then help you make the best decision. We want you to be educated. We want you to be a successful home buyer, and, you know, just know the benefits of home ownership, and just be comfortable in your purchase, and just love being a homeowner. That's what we're kind of here to share, our joy of real estate, and help others just love being a homeowner as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then I wanted to talk about a little bit about my first time home buying experience as well. So I bought my home a year and a half ago, which is still crazy to think that it was already a year and a half ago. I feel like I just bought it. But that really helped me be able to explain to first-time home buyers now kind of how to navigate this market, letting them know, you know, it is a crazy time. There are going to be multiple offers. It's going to be a roller coaster of emotions. And I think that's one thing that we also, you know, try to handle as well, is helping those emotions as we go through the many offers.
You lost one or two, if I remember right.
Yes.
Yeah. 1 or 8.
Oh, I think I was searching for just about a year,
Yeah.
and I had made 6 offers. until I finally got an accepted offer. And it was a struggle. You know, every time my offer didn't get accepted, people would say, oh, it wasn't the right one. It's coming, you know, it's meant to be. The amount of times I heard that. And by like the 10th time that someone told me that, I was like, yeah, I know, I get it. You know, and I hear people say that, you know, I still tell my buyers, you know, it's meant to be, the next one's coming along, and I can hear them feeling, you know, getting the same way, like, yeah, I know, but, you know, the right one is out there. And, you know, if you are struggling, make sure that you're constantly talking with your realtor, talking with your lenders, seeing if there's anything else that can make your offer stronger. But, yeah, it's going to be worth it.
Can be real.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a roller coaster, but it is definitely worth it. And yeah.
Well, I think that wraps up our second
so,
episode.
Yeah. So today we went over, you know, getting with your trusted advisors, getting with a great realtor, getting with a mortgage banker, a lender that you feel comfortable with. We went over the misconceptions. You don't need 20% down. You don't have to have perfect credit. And then we went into a couple of our experiences today. So hopefully that was helpful for all you first-time home buyers out there, or any realtors helping with first-time home buyers. Of course, if you have any other questions as a first-time home buyer, anything you want us to go into, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And we will see you next time on Real Take Real Estate.
Great.
Sounds great.
We'd love for that next experience to be yours.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.